Success to me is being locked in with Christ, being locked in on my purpose, and impacting as many people as possible. As long as I'm doing that constantly, then I'm successful in my eyes.
And I think a lot of social media on both sides, for men and women, it tells us what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Sometimes you just focus on the task at hand and you're just trying to make it. You forget to eat. You might forget to not sleep as well.
But every time I've had the thought of doing something that felt outside of my lane, purely for the cash and not about the skills that I could gain, whether I landed the role or didn't land the role, something just didn't feel right. So I feel like God always brought me back to stay in marketing, really think through storytelling, think through how can you push the culture forward through media and stories.
All right, y'all, welcome to Between the Winds, a podcast about life beyond the highlight reels. I'm Rachel Green and I'm your host. And today we have Justin Malone. He is a content creator, a content strategist, and he works with businesses on how to create content and how to brand yourself. So Justin, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be on the first episode. Let's rock out.
Yeah, this is episode 1. That's like, it's the first episode. And I should have said that earlier, huh?
Yeah, but just rock out. First episode, get those jitters out. Let's have a good time. That's what we're here about.
So Justin, where are you from?
Originally from Memphis, Tennessee. Born and raised. And then I went to school in Philadelphia. Was there for about 7 years, school and a little bit of work. And then, wanted to come back down to the South. So I'm here in the A right now.
Okay, so you said you went to Philadelphia for how long?
For 7 years. So 4 years of undergrad. And then I stayed there and worked in corporate as well.
Okay, so what did you major in undergrad?
Okay, I majored in economics with the concentration in entrepreneurship. I feel like ever since high school, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always had this feeling like, you gotta go work for a company first, get that knowledge if you don't have any background in that at all, and then take those systems and structures and figure out ways to apply it into businesses of your own. So That's why I studied entrepreneurship specifically.
So when you went into corporate, where did you start at? Did you say you just wanted to go into corporate, or you had a specific position in a company that you wanted?
I think most of us have that dream role or that dream company. So I definitely had some in mind. Didn't land in any of those, but I was like, I want to go to corporate. I want to figure this thing out. But I wanted to kind of blend everything I had learned so far in my life. So I ended up going to a startup. I was employee number 11 or 12 at that company. And my role was what was the title exactly? Culture coordinator.
Okay.
But essentially, I was a glorified office manager, but I reported directly into the co-founders. So I got to see the inner workings of what it was like running a business. So I only worked there for 9 months, but I learned a lot in that role. I did marketing, finance, HR, operations. I saw it all. I was ordering supplies around the company as well, from as menial as getting water to as big as sending out cards and ordering cards and depositing checks and things like that. So I did a little bit of everything. I saw checks as big as $25,000-$50,000 coming into the company. I'm just like, whoa, it's only 11 of us. I ain't never seen that much money on paper in one time before. So it was dope just seeing that and seeing behind the scenes.
And how old were you when you were seeing this for the first time?
I was 22, 23.
And so you were office manager at 22, 23. That's in a law firm or a big medical practice. So the office manager is the go-to person.
Yeah.
And they also could be known as an executive assistant. So how did you feel just walking in there oh, you're the office manager? Were you nervous?
Back then, I actually didn't. I took it for granted. I took it for granted back then. I felt like because I'm into marketing, they didn't use me enough for marketing. They used me more so for the day-to-day. So lots of times, getting the water, ordering the supplies, the pens, things like that. I was like, I'm more than this. I'm bigger than this. And I had that mindset, and part of me, I like that I have that mindset because it let me know that I wanted more and not to settle. But on the other side of that, I wish I would have truly understood my assignment at that time. I think if I didn't take it for granted, I would have been more open to asking questions, more open to learning from other people as well. Did I learn lessons? Yes. But I think I probably only hit on like maybe 10-20% of what I truly could have learned during that time period.
Well, it's good to self-reflect, right? That's how we learn a lot of lessons in life, is just looking back on what we could have done differently, and that kind of helps you moving forward. So once you learn that, in hindsight, is there anything that you would, if you could go back, that you would tell yourself in that situation? Like for someone that's listening now, they might be 21, 22. They might think like get in the water is something simple, or taking a check to the bank. But like, what is something that you could tell them that might change their mindset about that position?
Really big picture lesson. Honestly, value every situation that you're in. I'm a firm believer in God. So God puts us in situations for a reason. Most of the time it's for us to learn something. At that time, I was very fresh, straight out of undergrad, had all these big dreams, continue to have the big dreams. I never tell anybody to shrink themselves, but don't put your ego in front of showing other people love. I had a big ego at that time. I could have talked to the co-founders much more. I do still think it was my time to leave at the end of that 9 months, but I could have learned so much from them about running a company instead of being in my head thinking I would be running this company differently. I think it's okay to still have those thoughts, but instead of just having those thoughts, share those thoughts, but not sharing in a accusatory standpoint, but just saying, hey, I have this idea. Have you ever thought about this? It may be something they're open to. If not, they can tell you why they're not open to it. And they may have a perspective that you don't have because they're actually sitting in those seats, whereas you're not sitting in that seat yet. So I just think that back and forth dialogue, I wish I could have had more of that. So that's what I would tell my younger self. Be willing to listen, be willing to be open-minded. Don't buy into yourself too much. Don't have so much ego and pride.
Yeah, and it's important. You can learn a lot of lessons, especially in a business. If you know how to do all the positions, it's easier to manage that business in the long run as well. And it's important to know how to do every single position in the business. So after you left that corporation, what did you decide to do after that?
After that, I went from startup to Fortune 40 company. I went to telecommunications company called Comcast. I was in Philadelphia, headquarters in Philadelphia. Being in Philly, if you worked at Comcast, you kind of low-key made it. So I'm like, I'm 23 at Comcast. I'm like, let's go. Like, let's rise up. I took a road that wasn't necessarily in my lane, but I was just like, if I could get to this big corporation, they have a marketing department, I finesse my way into it. I've had to wear so many hats at the startup anyway, so I could figure it out. So I applied to be a strategy operations analyst. Had no idea what that meant, but I believed in myself. So I was like, I'll figure it out. And I did.
So how long did you stay at Comcast?
In total, I was at Comcast for about 5 years. I did 2.5 at headquarters, and then I did 2.5 at our central division here in Atlanta. So that's when I made my transition from Philadelphia to Atlanta.
Okay, so that's how you ended up in the A.
Yeah.
All right. So Philly or Atlanta, which one is better?
It depends on what we're talking about.
All right. So if someone said they would give you $1 million today, you could either live in Philly or Atlanta, and they'll give you $1 million to buy whatever condo, house you want. Where are you going?
Oh, Atlanta.
Okay. So you're in Atlanta to stay then?
Stay?
For right now.
For right now, yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
To add on to why Atlanta over Philadelphia, a meal. One, I think for what I can get for a meal in Atlanta versus a meal in Philly is probably going to be slightly better here. Second, being from the South, I like to have my whip. I like to be able to drive. So another thing, I don't got to buy a car with that meal. I already got my car. I don't got to upgrade that. Third, thinking about just how I want to see my future, like future family, things like that. Southern born and raised, so I want to have that for my kids as well. And then lastly, when I think about Philly, I love the culture there, but I feel like it's a city that was really about my transition, like going from a boy to a man. I think a lot of my memories are surrounding that, and also friends. And I don't have as many friends there as during college. So all of that, I'd say that's the reason why.
Okay, that's fair. So when you say transition from boy to a man, what's your definition of success now versus what your definition of success was in Philly in your 20s?
Ooh, that's perfect because I'm actually 33 years old right now. So it's my Jesus year. So I've been reflecting on that.
It's my
ton.
Jesus year too. 20s.
Okay,
92.
let's go. Yes.
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 Shout out to the 92 baby.
Yes. Yes. Okay. 92 in the house. Difference between manhood, or what I thought being a man was then compared to now. Honestly, it was very societal based back then. Go to school, get a good job, then, find a pretty young lady, get married, get the house with the picket fence and the 2.5 kids. Like really just going into what society tells men to do. That's what I deemed as success then. And I feel like in my 20s, I kind of did not explore the way I wanted to because I was so focused on being successful in what society says success is. Now, at 33, success to me is being locked in with Christ, being locked in on my purpose, and impacting as many people as possible. If I do that, my path would be right in front of me. Just think about today, don't worry about tomorrow. As long as I'm doing that constantly, then I'm successful in my eyes.
That's a word right there. You said purpose, and I know everyone has a different definition of what purpose is. And there might be somebody listening to this podcast like, hey, I'm trying to figure out what my purpose is.
Yeah.
So how did you figure that out? Like, how do you figure out what your purpose is? Like why God put you here, what you're supposed to be doing?
Great question. I think the misconception is we should look outside of ourselves to find our purpose. I actually think it's the complete opposite. We need to look inside ourselves to find our purpose. God says to have faith as small as a mustard seed. That's all you need. So he planted something inside of us, and we have to dig deep inside who we are and unlearn some of the things we learned growing up that wasn't the best for us, and relearn the things that our parents and people around us were telling us that was just like, you're like, dang, like they were actually right about that. And just having discernment on what's right, what's wrong, and also getting into that word, you start to kind of unveil what your purpose is. It's not necessarily about chasing the money, but I am a firm believer that whatever your purpose is will provide for you, because he provides for us. Yeah.
So I want to go back a little bit to when you were talking about like societal expectations. I think on social media now there is a lot of societal expectations.
Facts.
And you mentioned like as a man, society tells you to do this, and this.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of social media on both sides, for men and women, it tells us what we should do and what we shouldn't do. But how did you decide to, I guess, not be influenced by social media and come up with your own way of how you want to figure out your purpose? Like you said, you want to think about today, and, tomorrow, I'm assuming, will probably take care of itself, but you just focus on today. But what's some advice you can give to people that are feeling like social media is kind of impacting the way that they think, or how the kind of pressure they're putting on themselves?
Okay. Social media. It's a double-edged sword. I actually think social media is amazing. I think it's amazing because it gives people the opportunity to share their story, inspire, impact, empower people when people see that triumph story. on the other hand, it also exposes what's really inside of us as well. If something can keep our attention long enough, it shows that we either think like that or we're at least open to thinking like that. So I think that pressure that comes around social media is about us having discernment on what should we even be taking in and what we should not be taking in. But oftentimes, some of that rhetoric that we're seeing, it's rhetoric that we heard growing up. It's rhetoric that we've heard around us as well. And now we look at it as just common knowledge when it's something that we should be unlearning. So I think it's more so about exposing yourself to it and then making the determination of, I need to say not interested. Why is this 3-minute video keeping my attention the whole time, but something that's more positive, I'm swiping away from it in less than 3 seconds?
You just reminded me of something that Gary Vee posted recently, and he was talking about your timeline, and what you see is not conditioning you, more so it's exposing you of what you like, what you look like,
Exactly.
what you look at on social media.
Exactly.
And like you said, I know I do that. There's a lot of times where I say I'm not interested in this video, and if I see something that doesn't really resonate well with me or something that I want to see, is there any social media influencers that you kind of look at or maybe follow? I know for me, it's I like Gary Vee, I like Alex Hermani, I like his wife's podcast, and they're Eric Thomas. But is there anyone that you specifically like to I guess make sure you have on your timeline that creates positivity for you?
I feel like it's seasons for me, because I think lots of times, this is something that doesn't get talked about. Things can be good for you, but if you have too much of it, it still can turn into being bad as well. So I've had my doses with Gary, for example. I'm all the way in. I'm like, feed me more Gary V content. And other times I'm just like, I don't need to see this man for at least another couple of months. And it's nothing against Gary. It's just I've gotten too much. I don't want to think exactly like him. I want to make sure I have a diversity of thought so I can have my own opinions versus regurgitating something that other people are saying. But in this season of life, Gary has been coming back up a lot lately. Eric Thomas has been coming back a lot for me lately. One that a lot of people probably don't know about, but he's been around for a while. He started out just making gym content and workout content. This guy named Brandon Carter. Okay. He's been popping up a lot lately for me on YouTube. So I would say, and the last one, and this is the power of social media and creating content and it truly being your IP. Dr. Miles Monroe. He's been dead for numerous years, but I found his content and even just learned about him as a person after he was dead. But because they captured videos of his sermons, things like that, and that's where I am in my life right now, I watch a lot of his content too.
I'll have to check him out. I don't think I've ever watched his videos before.
Check Miles Monroe out for sure.
And so I know you said that you do consulting for businesses, brands. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? If someone was listening and they wanted to work with you, what do you offer? How does that look, the process?
Perfect. So I'll say I have 2 different lanes. So I work with individuals and I also work with brands. I start with the individuals first. So I work with value-based creators or knowledge-based creators who really have a skill set that they typically share in content, or someone who's an entrepreneur and they have that skill set, but they're not really showing up on social media. I help them go from just creating content to actually monetizing their company if they're more of a content creator, if they're an entrepreneur but kind of hiding behind their business and don't want to be as much in the forefront of their company, just showing them the value of being a founder-led business with building their personal brand. From a working with brands perspective, it's kind of in the same boat, working with small and mid-sized companies, really helping them understand the importance of being founder-led. People follow people. People don't follow brands as much. Not saying that people don't follow those brands, but people just feel more connected to an actual person. I know a lot of people don't like Elon Musk, but would Tesla be as big if it wasn't for Elon? You know, would Virgin be as big if it wasn't for Richard Branson? You know, would Apple be as big if we didn't hear all these stories about Steve Jobs? So it's recognizing that these people have a actual personal brand, and that personal brand helped build, not, I won't say build, but help take their companies to new heights. Yeah. So I help them with that. And I also help them with just like their creative strategy as well. A lot of small and mid-sized companies, they don't have creative strategies at all. But once again, if you attach a person to your business and people love them and really respect them, they're more willing to buy from that brand as well. So I help them with that too.
That's a lot of work to take off of a founder's plate.
Yeah.
Just being a founder of a business myself, it's a lot. You know, you're doing everything. It's important to hire people who can help you do that creative part, like come up with some strategies or at least help you narrow down, you know, some type of concept so that you're not like all over the place. So I think that's important for sure.
Clarity.
Yeah. Clarity. Yes. Yeah. Clarity. So where do you see yourself like 5 years from now doing this?
5 years from now, honestly, I don't know how much I'll be doing this. I feel like sometimes in life, things are stepping stones. I don't know how much one-on-one consulting I'll be doing with individuals. It may be me more so working with those founders, helping them with their creative strategy, helping them build their personal brands and things like that. Taking some founders, if they have 3 employees, helping them think through like how can your personal brand not only help your business grow, but attract the right talent. Speaking, doing things such as this on podcasts, speaking engagements, moderating panels, hosting events with founders, with entrepreneurs, getting those sponsored, things like that, writing books. I really just see myself taking everything that I have in here and everything that I'm learning as well and sharing it with the world. I think everything's content, and I have to, if I believe in founder-led marketing and creator strategy, I have to be the person leading that charge myself. So I see myself doing all of that.
That's a lot. So do you ever get burnt out?
Yes.
Like, okay, so what do you do when you get like burnt out, and what does that look like for you? Like, everybody's burnout is different.
You want the
real. We want the real
podcast safe answer.
No,
we
want the real answer.
The real answer. I'm an introvert at heart. So sometimes I kind of just go ghost. I'm not saying that's the best thing to do. I would not advocate for this at all. Don't go ghost. But that's my natural reaction sometimes. I may not be ghost on social media. I may not be ghost to the outside world, but I'm ghost to the people that's closest to me. And that's why I say, don't do that.
So are you explaining to these, you know, people close to you, they kind of know, hey, like if you're overwhelmed, I wouldn't say for me per se, I wouldn't call it going ghost, but maybe just taking like personal time to yourself. And when you're taking that time, what exactly do you do? Are you reading books? Are you going on vacation? Like, what is it that kind of helps you get back your spark so you can, you know, go back to being creative again?
Sometimes I communicate. Sometimes I don't. I think the times when I do communicate, it's typically I have a vacation coming up or something that I know is coming up or something that I know will give me the opportunity to sit back, relax, and kind of kick my legs up. When I'm in the trenches though, and things just got to get done, sometimes I just focus on the work instead of communicating properly. And that's definitely a miss on my hand. But I also feel like in those same time periods, that's when I learned the most because it wasn't a designated time. It's like it came to me. And to answer your last question of what's happening during those times, sometimes it could be me reading books. Sometimes it could be me just quieting the noise, just like turning social media off, turning everything off unless I'm posting. sometimes it's me just diving deep into some content that I feel like I'm meant to be like diving into at that moment. It could be sermons, it could be a course, it could be a particular creator who's just really speaking to me, and I feel like God is speaking through them in that very moment.
So with the social media, because you said that you might go ghost in your words, but you're still active on social media. Are you using Meta to plan this stuff out? Are you using like Plannable? I've heard of a few different platforms. So like I know with my business, I use Plannable. That's what I prefer because I can go on there and schedule things and it'll post on its own to every single platform. So are you saying that you're still doing the posting, or you're saying it's just still posting on its own so it appears that you're on social media?
If it's a set vacation, I'm using those like planning apps.
Okay.
If it's not set, I either already have like content that's already like made and just posting it, or I actually can, turn it on and off. But if my social battery is low, I'm conserving the battery with real people. And let me take that back. I'm not talking to them so I can have battery for the content.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to that in the sense that sometimes you just focus on the task at hand and you're just trying to make it, like just getting done what you can get done. And sometimes you forget to eat. You might forget to not sleep as well. I think those are all things that are relatable that most people just don't say out loud, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I call the podcast Between the Wins, because you see all the wins, or you think you see the wins, but you don't really know what's going on in the background.
True.
And people are really out here hustling and grinding to try to get to what you see, And so you also mentioned like books. You say you like to read books, but like what is a book that you've read recently that kind of sticks out to you? Do you have like a top book that you recommend for people that's in the trenches trying to, figure it out?
Book recently, I haven't finished it yet, but I've been reading it and I'm almost done with it. It's called The Sponsor Magnet by Justin Moore. Not me, Justin Moore. Not Malone, Moore. Not gonna say
Different JM.
Different JM. But that could be destiny though. Might be
you say you wanted to write a book. You'll have to come back on the podcast when you write your book.
I got you.
And then we could talk about the book.
I got you. Sponsor Magnet. For me, I'm one of those people. Since I do creator strategy, I primarily focus on those creators, like I said, and entrepreneurs, knowledge base, who have a skill set. But I also feel like those people don't have to pigeonhole themselves solely to just creating content and monetizing off of a business. Like blend some of that, like who you are, into your personal brand and your content as well. There are avenues to get brand deals. So for me, I'm reading more about brand deals, things like that. So that's why I like that book for recent reads. For just book that I'm about, The Alchemist.
Okay.
The Alchemist.
And why is that it sounds like you're very like, this book, you got to read it.
Honestly, like when I read the book, I was fresh out of college. I was fresh out of a relationship at that time. I had just started at my first job, maybe less than a month at that point. And it's a book about purpose. I felt like I had none at that time. And even though I still didn't fully realize my purpose after reading the book, it at least got me curious. It got me to just thinking about, what do I want out of life? And it started to make me kind of rethink, am I attacking this whole life thing the proper way? It made me think.
And you said that, at that time you didn't know what your purpose was. And, now you were able to articulate your purpose very, well here on the podcast today. But like at any point in like the journey to finding your purpose from then to now, Did you ever want to just quit, try something else? Like, I don't want to be in marketing. I don't want to be in business. Like, was there ever a time where you just want to be like, this is not for me at any point during the journey?
The funny thing is I felt like never not to be in marketing, but sometimes I question if I should continue chasing marketing because I wanted to get to the bag quicker.
Okay.
Sometimes I would get so caught up on the money that I was just like, I could maybe do something in product, do product management. They get paid between 20 and 40% more than product marketers. Why not do that? That's a smooth pivot. But every time I've had the thought of doing something that felt outside of my lane, purely for the cash and not about the skills that I could gain, whether I landed the role or didn't land the role, something just didn't feel right. So I feel like God always brought me back to stay in marketing, really think through storytelling, think through how can you push the culture forward through media and stories. Like, everything always just came back to that. And that's even been driving me with my company as well.
You mentioned money, and there's a few podcasts I listen to about money all the time. And everybody has a way that they interact with money, you know, whether it be that you learned it from your parents or you just learned it from life. But what would you tell someone now who is trying to make that decision? Like, do I go after my dream, what I really want to do that makes me happy? Or do I go after something that's similar to my dream, but it's going to, you know, reward me with more money or cash right now? You know, I think that's something that a lot of people are dealing with in this economy. So, like,
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for them about what would you suggest they do in that situation?
That's huge. My advice would be, honestly, ask yourself why. Like, why? Like, is it solely about the money? Because if it's solely about the money, that's not enough. Like, think through, like, why do you have this relationship with money? Really unpack that. Are you coming from a survival mentality? Are you choosing a role solely because it feels safer and you just know that it's always going to be there? Like, really think through what makes you happy, but also think through the life you truly want to live. And be honest about that. If it's something as surface level as I want to have a wife and kids so I can look successful to everyone else, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. So really think through what makes the most sense to you for the life you truly are intended to live. For some people, it could be a lot of money. For some people, it could be not as much, but I'm a firm believer that God will provide as long as you stay aligned with him. Trust him.
Yeah, and the relationship with money is something that is very important to figure out because everyone's relationship with money is very different. And when you sit down and really think about it, I think that kind of helps you figure out, like, when you're making decisions, am I making this decision out of lack? Or am I making it because, you know, this is what I really want to do?
Scarcity versus abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you also, you know, self-limiting beliefs that we have. Everyone has them. You got to fight through those. But sometimes a self-limiting belief could be that you can't make money in a certain area when in reality you can. You just haven't figured it out yet, you know?
And you figuring it out could sometimes be you learning a skill and that gives you to that new level. Or it could be you delegating or finding some other way out to get to the next level financially.
Yeah.
Depends.
And speaking of delegating, do you have anyone, like, do you have an assistant or anyone, or you plan on hiring anyone to help you, or is...
I'm a one-person show.
A one-person show.
One-person show. My mantra really is do it ugly. So many people talk about how they would do something, then do it. Do it. So my thing is, once again, if I want to be founder-led, if I believe in this, if I believe in creator strategy, I gotta show how to do it by myself. When it gets overwhelming, when it gets overbearing, things like that, hopefully by then I have the resources where I can properly delegate and properly compensate as well. Because I don't believe in just like, hey, bro, can you do this for me? If they willing, they ask, But if they not asking, I'm not gonna ask somebody to sign up to do something that they didn't even ask to do for free. But nah, that's just truly what I believe. Just one man show right now, and I figure it out.
Hey, that's the best way to learn, right? Experience.
That, but I am an advocate for delegating in other areas of life. So this is what I believe in. So I want to do everything I can from a creator standpoint, leverage technology, software to do things as well. But in other areas of life, I'm fine with delegating. After this podcast, I got somebody cleaning up my apartment because I don't got time to do it today. I'm fortunate to get that done. So if somebody has the resources to delegate in other areas of life, do that if necessary. If you have the resources to delegate within your business, do that as well. I'll just say do what works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also important to know when you need help and when to ask for help, and not to be ashamed for asking for help.
Exactly.
And delegating is very important, especially when you said like you could hire a housekeeper. People use Instacart when they don't have time to go to the grocery store. There's meal prep companies.
Yep.
People have laundry companies that you can use. But all those things are things to consider, especially in entrepreneurship, because
Facts.
if you know that you burn out easily, these might be some things you want to consider if you have the time and the wherewithal to do that. So that's important. All right, well, can you tell our listeners how they can find you if they want to work with you? What's your Instagram?
Yes. Y'all can find me on the main social media platforms. So Instagram, Mr. Justin Malone, no period in the Mr. The MR Justin Malone. Same thing with TikTok as well. And then a platform that I think more people need to use, LinkedIn. So y'all can find me on LinkedIn. That's just linkedin.com/n/ like IN, not the letter N, IN/Malone Justin. Find me there. That's where I'm my busiest, because like that's where the decision makers are. So if y'all trying to get a job, all those types of things, start your company, be on LinkedIn, take it more seriously. That's where y'all can find me at. And all my like websites and stuff are there as well.
Well, Justin, thank you for coming on the podcast, especially the first episode. I really appreciate it. We'll put your links in the show notes.
Perfect.
So that everyone can find them. And thank y'all for listening to Between the Winds podcast, where we talk about life beyond the highlight reels. Y'all like, subscribe, leave a review if you feel inclined to do so. And we'll see y'all in the next episode.